The Local Show, sponsored by Victory in Motion, home of knee repair, not knee replacement, on News Radio 570 WSYR, on 106.9 FM, and live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. The Local Show features in-depth conversation with business owners, employees, and influential business leaders throughout Central New York, exploring their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business right here in our growing community. The Local Show is produced locally by Zoe Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Welcome in and welcome in. That's two welcome ins for you, Steve.
Double welcome.
It's a double welcome. This is the very early spring edition of the Local Show. I'm your host, Tom Sicoscio Jr., along with my friend and co-host, Steve Roberts. In every episode, we dive into captivating conversations with Syracuse's movers and shakers, like business owners, top executives, entrepreneurs, nonprofit organizations, and a whole bunch more. So brace yourself for jaw-dropping business insights and success stories. The Local Show will shine the light on the business visionaries, turning Syracuse into the ultimate hub for work, life, and new opportunities.
And a few people that aren't all that visionary. Oh, keep going. Sorry.
That's right. They might not be. We're broadcasting from the Zoe Advertising Studios, brought to you by Victory in Motion. It's the home of knee repair, not knee replacement. And you can see us on YouTube. Just look up Zoe Advertising. Well, look, we've got an action-packed show for you, folks. Stick around for Dr. Mark Petropoli. He's going to give us in-depth analysis of what's going on in the world of orthopedics and how he is changing the game along with his new book and everything. Dr. Mark Petropoli, how are you there, bud?
I'm great. How you doing, Tom?
Hanging right in there. Thank you for the book. He has signed it. And
the book? What book are we speaking of, Tom?
Put a very suggestive picture of himself in a Speedo in the front cover here for me. But
explains why it's a bestseller on Amazon.
That's right. This is very nice. It's a lot of work goes into writing. And I see that there's a foreword. You have to do a dedication. You got all that stuff. Who is Dr. James Andrews, the person who wrote the foreword?
He is the GOAT of all time sports medicine doctor. So he is the founder of the American Sports Medicine Institute down in Birmingham, Alabama, and he had a fellowship. He's just recently retired, but I trained underneath him as well as 600 and some other doctors, I suppose, from what he said there. But, you know, any type of professional athlete that you can think of, he has probably seen or treated. If you watch ESPN, you hear his name all the time, or used to hear his name all the time.
No kidding.
Shoulders, knees, but especially Tommy John surgery at the elbow. You know, the pitchers would tear their
elbow. You hear a lot about that, Tommy John.
What did they call that before Tommy John was throwing a ball?
There was no such a thing.
Oh, okay. Right. So he
was the first surgery, Tommy John surgery.
It makes you wonder, would there be Lou Gehrig's disease if there wasn't any Lou Gehrig?
Yeah. There was that before Lou Gehrig, though, unfortunately, and still is, unfortunately.
Yeah. So the Tommy John surgery, what exactly is that? Because we hear a lot about that this time of year.
Yep. The ulnar collateral ligament is the main stabilizing ligament on the inner side, the medial side of the elbow. So when you throw, especially a pitcher, puts a lot of stress on that ligament, and just over and over and over again, it's kind of like going like this with a paper clip. And a lot of times it'll tear. Now that used to be an injury that you'd see a pitcher late in their career, in their late 20s and 30s, you would see that, okay? And when I was doing my fellowship back in the 90s, it was just starting to get like, okay, some of these younger guys, professionals are getting it. Now it's an epidemic. You see it in high school kids. You see it in even before high school now, because these kids are throwing nonstop. They're throwing in multiple leagues. They're trying to throw as hard as they possibly can. There's these things called showcases where they go. There's a radar gun. And they try to throw as hard as they can to impress the scouts. A lot of tears.
Weren't kids always trying to throw a ball hard, though? I mean,
they were, but another thing is people are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And so the more muscle and the more strength you have and the more better, even the better mechanics you have, you can throw harder. But the harder you throw, the more stress you put on that elbow. And technically, Dr. Andrews and Dr. Timmerman did an amazing study a while back where every single throw, there's enough force to tear that ligament. because that ligament, they tested how many newtons, how much strength that ligament had, how much force it would take to tear that ligament in a bunch of cadavers. And then they calculated the force across the elbow with every single baseball throw, and it's literally the same or even a little bit more when you throw. So why doesn't it tear on every single throw? It's because your muscles protect it. But if you're fatigued because you're pitching too many pitches in a week or in a game or in a month or in a year, or if your muscles are weak or it's later in the game and you go past X amount of pitches, you're more likely for those muscles to be fatigued, and then more force goes across the ligament and the ligament
So
tear.
how does what you do affect that? I mean, does somebody need that, or can it be intercepted? Or?
Well, what's amazing is Tommy John was the first one who underwent that surgery. It used to be a death sentence. Your career was over. So Dr. Job out in California took a tendon from his forearm area, and he drilled some tunnels and weaved the tendon in kind of a figure eight fashion, reconstructed, made a new ligament. And Tommy John recovered. He actually had his nerve, there's a nerve right here. It went out and he couldn't really use his hand very well, but thankfully the nerve came back. Otherwise we'd never even be talking about this surgery, because I met him when I was down there. But then, since then, we've developed ways to diagnose it earlier, partial tear. So bone marrow, like stem cells, PRP,
That's what I was wondering.
laser. Really helps that a lot, and now even repairing it with this thing called an internal brace. So there's a lot less invasive things we can do, but it's still a very common surgery, because if you completely blow it out, you're going to probably need a reconstruction.
You can't do anything preventive, can you?
1,000% you can. Yeah, you can. There's a lot of exercises and mechanics and pitch counts. And
Would it behoove somebody to have injections of their platelets in there in advance?
Preventively, great question. There might be, but I don't think too many people do that. And people would actually go to Dr. Andrews and want to have the surgery prevented, quote unquote preventively, which is kind of crazy. But we can
Dr.
talk
Mark
about that later.
Petropoy, let's have you stay through the break. Owner of Victory in Motion, home of knee repair, not knee replacement. Tom?